deal. I mean, and it's just absolutely horrific. And um, what people need to understand is like the way like a Western, like a typical guy in the U.S. who doesn't know much about this might view Hamas as this crazy terrorist organization. Think about how the Palestinians in Gaza view the IDF and view Israel. I mean, that's a terrorist organization that has the ability to kill them all. That's the big difference between the
Yeah.
IDF and Hamas. Um,
Yeah, no, I mean, and I don't want to get too off into a tangent on the history, but and I talked about this in a recent episode of mine, and uh, I was referencing Daryl Cooper and that his series Fear and Loathing in the New Jerusalem. And what I did was I kind of in this, if you've listened to it, like in his first episode, he opens up with sort of a very like dramatic retelling of like a Jewish family suffer like who goes through a pogrom and just how
yeah,
horrific
yeah,
that was. And I basically did that, but like in the position of like a Palestinian father, because I think people don't realize how like because and there's that question like what would you do? And you brought up like peaceful resistance, and so again, people don't know the history because they don't pay attention. uh, they'll be like, well, if the Palestinians thought they were being treated unfairly, like what was October 7th was resorting to uh, what Hamas has done, the the right response, and I would say it's not. But again, we have to try to have more than just like a fifth graders level understanding of like human nature and psychology, and like they have tried peaceful options,
mm,
and the most famous one being, I think, was it 2018, the March of Return. And I mean, just completely peaceful demonstrations. They were not armed, just walking to the barriers and the gates, and they were just completely shot down and mowed down by the Israeli uh security that was stationed there. um
yeah. That's an
and
important point. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, uh, does it mean I agree with what Hamas did on October 7th, where they broke into Israel and did kill a lot of innocent civilians and kidnap them? No, not at all. And now granted, you always have to couch that with like not giving into the sensational reporting, right? The whole like beheaded babies thing, which has been debunked, and the numbers which were exaggerated. There's like the crap. What's the doctrine where they shoot
The Hannibal directive.
the
Yeah.
Hannibal directive, right? On top of just like normal accidental, crossfire in the heat of a, breakout situation. So like all that, but at the end of the day, again, nuance and, not giving it sensational takes of it. It's still like objectively evil what Hamas did, but you can also understand how some of the Palestinians thought that they had no other option. And there's still plenty of Palestinians, including many children, who don't really have any agency in this, who it's not like they voted in Hamas, right? It's not like they're responsible for this situation. But I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think? And someone asked here, Dave, in the comments, they asked, Dave, do you think Israel at all cares about the optics of what they're doing? I mean, I don't think they do. And I don't think they care about the blowback that's going to come, because they always have the U.S. support, which is like the ultimate trump card to just keep doing what they want. Which I did you catch that whole or just like even the clip of Matt Walsh talking to Tucker Carlson, and the whole thing that like if a country cannot survive without assistance from another country, it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
deserve to exist. And Matt was like, but I think Israel could continue to exist without U.S. support. And I guess I kind of agree, but like they couldn't exist on the terms that they're doing right now.
Yeah. No. No.
They'd have to change how they treat their neighbors, because without the U.S. intervention, which is more than just the direct intervention of aid to Israel, but how much, and maybe you can speak to this because I think a lot of people are unaware, how much the U.S. is involved in getting the other countries in the region to to go along with what Israel is doing, even though that wouldn't necessarily be their first move.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Jordan and Egypt, two countries that neighbor Israel and the Palestinian territories, are get billions of dollars in aid from the U.S. each year. That's literally the reason why. So they go along with what's happening. Um, but yeah, I mean, the that's what this aid that the U.S. gives Israel allows them to do. It allows them to do what they're doing in Gaza. It allows them to invade southern Syria. It allows them to expand settlements in the West Bank. If they didn't have all this support from the U.S., they would have had to rein, especially right now, if say U.S. aid just was cut off, they would have to stop pretty much everything that they're doing and figure out how to, build up their military that's not relying on U.S. equipment. I mean, I don't think people understand, like, pretty much all of Israel's planes are American, which means they rely on the U.S. for maintenance, for spare parts, so they can keep flying in the air. I mean, if you lose that support, then you don't have an air force. So yeah, it's huge. And that's what's so shameful about this, is that Trump could get on the phone and say, hey, let the aid in, stop this, just implement the ceasefire deal that we got you to sign in January. And he has the power to do that. The fact is, though, I mean, it's tough to imagine where this could go, where there really could be peace in either Gaza or the West Bank at this point. And I think now the question about the optics, like, now that you have a Trump administration that's not pretending like they care about the humanitarian situation like Biden did, and Biden at least made them let some aid into Gaza. Obviously, it wasn't enough, but now that they have Trump, just not even clearly doesn't care, then they don't care. And that's been kind of the talking point from Smotrich, from kind of the more extreme elements, is that, like, this is our opportunity with this Trump administration to do what we want, to cleanse Gaza and to annex the West Bank.
Yeah. No, I mean, and so the same commenter made this point, which I think this will be the last thing we'll talk on, one of the last things we'll talk on Israel, but because I want to talk about Iran, which is related. But he said insurgent math only goes so far. And for those who don't know, so that's, and who was it? Was I know it was the Iraq
McChrystal,
general,
right?
Yeah, McChrystal, who said that, like, what is like 2 minus 1? And it's like, it's 4, right? Because like,
yeah,
it's like for every
basically
terrorist go ahead,
yeah, for every terrorist you kill, you make more because they're families. So
right.
That's a good point,
the idea,
because that's kind of my point here, is that according to the Israeli intelligence, there's more Hamas fighters now than there was when they first started, than there was on October 7th. And that does go to show, you kill all these people, you kill all their families, what other recourse do they have? And I do think, Piers Morgan said something interesting once. I forget who he was even talking to, but it was one of these crazy debates or something. And he said, he was asking, a critic of Israel. I think it might've been Scott. Maybe that's why I was watching, so on October 7th, of course you have all the history with the occupation, with everything, but October 7th happens and Israel has to do something, right? Like, there has to be a response. So all that stuff is irrelevant to a point. And, I would reverse that point now and say, like, forget October 7th. Look how many people they've killed in Gaza. If you were just a regular dude in Gaza and your whole family was slaughtered by Israel, of course you're going to join Hamas. You're going to join whatever the armed resistance is. But yeah, if they go in with the bulldozers and clear and demolish every area and bomb all the other areas while they're doing that, then I think, because Gaza is so small, I do think that they could actually achieve, genocide and ethnic cleansing in Gaza. A lot of people don't think they can, but I do think it's possible.
I think it's possible, but to the commenter's point here, he said that you kill everyone in the area and the insurgent math doesn't matter, but you may see foreign insurgent math and not domestic, which is, I guess, I kind of share your concern that Gaza might sadly be a lost cause, and the Palestinians, whether they're killed or relocated, it'll be an ethnic cleansing. And I'm at the point where I'm not sure what the point in not calling it a genocide is.
Yeah, I mean, other than kids, like what's happening right now with the kids starving and everything.